The stars looked different through the observation deck of the New Horizon. Ambassador Claire Morrison stood with her hands pressed against the cold metal rail, watching the distant lights that marked humanity's destination. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. 3 years of learning alien languages, studying foreign customs, and building the perfect diplomatic team. Claire turned to look at her companions. Colonel Jake Sullivan checked his tablet for the 100th time that morning, reviewing security protocols that everyone hoped would never be needed. His gray uniform was perfectly pressed, and his weathered face showed the calm confidence of a career military officer. Jake had fought in the Mars colony conflicts, but this mission was different. This was about peace, not war. Dr. Lisa Grant sat at a nearby table, her research papers spread out like a paper snowfall. The xenobiologist had spent months studying every scrap of information about the Zephyrian Confederation. Her blonde hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her blue eyes moved quickly across the data screens. Lisa knew more about alien biology than anyone else on Earth, but book knowledge was different from meeting the real thing. Ryan Torres worked at his communication station, fine-tuning the translation systems one more time. The young man had a gift for languages that impressed even the computers. His dark hair fell across his forehead as he bent over the controls, making tiny adjustments to ensure perfect communication. One wrong word could ruin everything they had worked for. The bridge of the New Horizon hummed with quiet activity. Captain Ben Davis had commanded exploration vessels for 15 years, but he had never carried cargo as precious as this diplomatic team. His crew of 38 worked with practiced efficiency, knowing that the eyes of Earth were watching their every move. Claire walked to the main viewport and gazed at the growing shape of Kepler Prime. The neutral station hung in space, like a metal flower, its arms extending in all directions. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at its many ports. Some were sleek and silver, others rough and industrial. Each one represented a different species, a different way of thinking about the universe. The Zephyrian Confederation controlled this entire sector of space. 12 different alien species had joined together under their leadership, creating an empire that stretched across 100 star systems. They were old, powerful, and wise. Earth was young, small, and eager to learn. Jake. Sullivan joined Claire at the viewport. "Are you nervous?" he asked quietly. Claire smiled. "Terrified," she admitted. "But also excited. We're about to make history." The colonel nodded. "The first humans to sit at the galactic table. No pressure at all." Dr. Grant looked up from her papers. "According to my research, the Zephyrians value honesty above all else. They prefer direct communication to fancy words. That should work in our favor." Ryan Torres called out from his station. "Ambassador, I'm receiving a message from Kepler Prime. They're ready to begin docking procedures." Claire felt her heart rate increase. This was it, the moment that would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. She straightened her shoulders and walked to the communication panel. "This is Ambassador Claire Morrison of Earth," she said clearly. "We are honored to accept your invitation to join the Galactic Council. Humanity comes in peace, seeking friendship and understanding among the stars." The reply came back in perfect English, though the voice sounded strange through the translation. "System, welcome, humans of Earth. Premier Vexnar of the Zephyrian Confederation awaits your arrival. Docking Bay 7 is prepared for your vessel." Captain Davis took control of the ship's movement, guiding the New Horizon toward the designated docking port. The station grew larger as they approached, and Claire could see the intricate details of its construction. Metal beams twisted together in patterns that hurt her eyes to follow. Windows glowed with different colored lights, and strange symbols marked various sections. The docking process took 20 minutes. Magnetic clamps locked onto the New Horizon's hull with a sound like distant thunder. Atmospheric processors began equalizing pressure between the ship and the station. Everything proceeded exactly as planned. Claire gathered her team in the main corridor. Each person carried a small bag containing gifts from Earth. They had chosen carefully, examples of human art, music, and literature. Simple things that showed who they were as a people. No weapons, no technology that could be seen as threatening, just the offerings of a young species hoping to make friends. Jake Sullivan wore his dress uniform but carried no visible weapons. Dr. Grant had her research, tablet and biological samples from Earth. Ryan Torres brought advanced communication equipment designed to help bridge any language gaps. Each person had spent months preparing for this moment. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss. Beyond it lay a corridor unlike anything on Earth. The walls curved in impossible directions, and the lighting seemed to come from the metal itself. The air smelled of ozone and something else, something organic and strange. A figure waited for them in the corridor. It stood on two legs like a human, but that was where the similarity ended. Its skin was dark blue and covered in small scales. Its head was elongated, with large eyes that reflected the light like mirrors. When it spoke, its mouth revealed rows of sharp teeth. "I am Diplomat Kethvar," the being said in accented English. "I will escort you to Premier Vexnar. Please follow me." The journey through Kepler Prime took 15 minutes. They passed through sections filled with different species. Some looked almost human, while others were so alien that Claire had trouble understanding how they moved. The station was clearly designed for many different body types, with corridors of various sizes and shapes. They saw rooms filled with beings that looked like walking trees, creatures that floated instead of walking, and others that seemed to be made of living crystal. Each species wore different clothing and moved in different ways. The diversity was overwhelming and beautiful. Finally, they reached a large chamber at the station's center. The room was circular, with a raised platform in the middle. Seats of various sizes surrounded the platform, each designed for different alien body types. Representatives from the 12 Confederation species sat waiting. Premier Vexnar stood on the central platform. He was taller than the diplomat who had guided them, with darker skin and more elaborate clothing. Golden symbols were carved into his scales, and his eyes held an intelligence that was clearly ancient. "Humans of Earth," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "You have traveled far to reach us. We welcome you to this place of peace and discussion." Claire stepped forward and bowed slightly, as her research had suggested. "Premier Vexnar, honored representatives of the Confederation, we thank you for this opportunity. Humanity seeks only friendship and the chance to learn from your wisdom." The alien leader's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Come then, young species. Let us speak of the future." The meeting chamber fell silent as Premier Vexnar gestured for the human delegation to take their seats. Claire Morrison felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as she sat in the specially prepared chair. The alien furniture was surprisingly comfortable, though it felt strange to be surrounded by so many non-human faces. Dr. Lisa Grant set up her presentation materials while Ryan Torres activated the translation equipment. Colonel Jake Sullivan remained standing, his eyes constantly scanning the room for potential threats. His military training made it impossible to completely relax, even in what was supposed to be a peaceful diplomatic meeting. "Before we begin, formal discussions," Premier Vexnar said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We must address certain concerns about your species." Claire leaned forward slightly. "Of course, Premier. We're here to answer any questions you might have about humanity." The alien leader's large eyes seemed to study each human in turn. "Your species has expanded very quickly through your local star system. In less than 200 years, you have gone from basic flight to interstellar travel. This rapid advancement is unusual." "We're a curious species," Claire replied carefully. "We enjoy solving problems and pushing boundaries. Our expansion has always been peaceful." We've never encountered another intelligent species before today. Several of the alien representatives exchanged glances. A being that looked like a walking tree spoke up, its voice sounding like wind through leaves. Curiosity can be dangerous. Species that expand too quickly often become aggressive. They consume resources and displace others. Dr. Grant stood up slowly. If I may address that concern, honored representatives, humanity has always been careful about resource management. We terraform dead worlds and build space habitats rather than taking planets from others. Our expansion is about exploration and knowledge, not conquest. Premier Vexnar raised one scaled hand. Your words are interesting, Dr. Grant, but words are easy to speak. Actions tell the true story of a species. Jake Sullivan felt something change in the room's atmosphere. The alien guards, who had been standing casually against the walls, had shifted their positions slightly. Their hands were now closer to their weapons. His own hand moved instinctively toward his sidearm before he remembered that he was unarmed. What? Actions concern you? Claire asked, trying to keep her voice steady. We've provided complete records of our expansion. Every colony, every outpost, every exploration mission. We have nothing to hide. The Premier's mouth curved in what definitely was not a smile. Nothing to hide? Then perhaps you can explain why your exploration vessels carry weapons powerful, enough to destroy small moons. Perhaps you can tell us about the military shipyards hidden throughout your system. Claire's blood ran cold. Those shipyards were classified at the highest levels of Earth's government. The exploration ships did carry defensive weapons, but the aliens seemed to know far more about human military capabilities than should have been possible. How do you know about? She began, then stopped herself. How do we know? Premier Vexnar stepped down from the platform, moving closer to the human delegation. Because we have been watching your species for over 50 years. We have seen your true nature, Ambassador Morrison. You speak of peace, but you prepare for war. Ryan Torres looked up from his communication equipment, his face pale. Ambassador, I'm detecting movement outside. Multiple ships are surrounding the station. The chamber erupted in activity as alien guards moved into position around the humans. Energy weapons appeared in scaled hands, their barrels glowing with dangerous light. The representatives of the Confederation remained seated, but their body language had changed completely. What had seemed like curiosity was now clearly hostility. Colonel Sullivan stepped forward, placing himself between the aliens and the civilian members of his team. Ambassador, we need to leave, now. Premier Vexnar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Leave. Where would you go, human? Your ship is surrounded. Your escape routes are blocked. You came here thinking you were cleverer than us, but we have been planning this moment for decades. Planning what? Claire demanded. We came here in peace. This is supposed to be a diplomatic meeting. This is a diplomatic meeting, the Premier replied. A final one. You see, Ambassador, the Confederation has ruled this sector of space for over 3,000 years. We have seen species like yours before. Young, aggressive, rapidly expanding. They always claim to be peaceful. They always promise to respect the established order. The tree-like being spoke again, and they always become a threat once they grow strong enough. Better to remove the threat while it is still small. Dr. Grant backed toward Ryan Torres, her scientific mind trying to process what was happening. You're talking about genocide. You want to destroy humanity because you're afraid of what we might become? Not genocide, Premier Vexnar corrected. Pruning, like cutting back a plant before it grows too large for its garden. Your species will be reduced to your home world. Your colonies will be destroyed. Your expansion will end. Jake Sullivan's hand found the emergency beacon on his belt. If he could activate it, the signal would reach Earth through quantum entanglement communication. The message would take time to decode, but at least his home world would know what happened here. You think we're defenseless? he said loudly, trying to distract the aliens while his fingers worked the beacon's controls. You think Earth won't respond to an attack on its people? Earth will mourn its lost children, the Premier said. But Earth will not have the strength to seek revenge. By the time your people learn what happened here, the Confederation fleet will already be moving toward your colonies. The beacon activated with a soft beep that Jake hoped the aliens wouldn't notice. The quantum signal was already racing toward Earth, carrying news of the betrayal and the approaching threat. You made one mistake, Claire said, standing up despite the weapons pointed at her. You underestimated us. Premier Vexnar moved closer, his large eyes reflecting the chamber's lights. Did we? You are four beings, far from home, surrounded by superior forces. Your ship is disabled. Your colonies are undefended. What exactly are we underestimating? The fact that we didn't come here unprepared, Jake Sullivan said quietly. The fact that Earth's military isn't as weak as you think. The fact that you just declared war on a species that has spent 200 years learning how to fight. The alien leader's expression changed slightly. Impossible. Our intelligence is complete. We know exactly what your species is capable of. Do you? Claire asked. Then you know what happens when you threaten our people. You know what we do to those who hurt our families. Ryan Torres looked up from his equipment, his young face set with determination. Signal sent, Colonel. Earth knows. The chamber erupted in violence. Energy beams filled the air as the alien guards opened fire. Jake Sullivan threw himself in front of Claire, taking a blast that burned through his uniform and seared his chest. Dr. Grant screamed as another beam caught her shoulder, spinning her around and sending her crashing into the wall. Ryan Torres managed to transmit one final message before an energy bolt silenced his equipment forever. The transmission was brief, but clear. They killed our people. The war has begun. Claire Morrison, Earth's first ambassador to the stars, died with her team around her in a chamber that was supposed to represent peace and cooperation. But her death was not meaningless. 27 light-years away, Earth received Jake Sullivan's warning beacon and Ryan Torres's final transmission. The galaxy had made its choice. Now humanity would make theirs. The Situation Room beneath the White House had never felt smaller. President Catherine Blake sat at the head of the long table, her face pale as she read the decoded message from Jake Sullivan's emergency beacon. The quantum transmission had taken 18 hours to decode, but the meaning was crystal clear. Earth's diplomatic mission had been murdered in cold blood. General Peter Hayes, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, stood at the wall display showing the latest intelligence reports. His weathered face was set in hard lines as he pointed to star charts marking known Confederation positions. The beacon transmission confirms our worst fears, Madam President. This was a planned execution, not a diplomatic accident. Defense. Secretary Alan Cross leaned forward in his chair, his knuckles white as he gripped a tablet showing casualty reports. 4 of our best people, including Ambassador Morrison. They went there in peace and were slaughtered like animals. Director of Colonial Affairs Maria Santos spoke quietly from her position near the window. The colonies are already requesting permission to begin evacuations. Word is spreading through the outer settlements that we're facing an alien invasion. President Blake stood up slowly, her eyes moving from one advisor to another. Each face in the room showed the same mixture of grief and rage that she felt in her own heart. Claire Morrison had been more than just an ambassador. She had been a friend, a woman who believed in humanity's ability to find peace among the stars. How? Long before the Confederation fleet reaches our colonies? Blake asked. General Hayes consulted his tablet. Intelligence estimates between 6 and 8 weeks, depending on their technology. The outer colonies would be hit first. Mars and the Europa settlements might have 2 months. Not enough time for evacuation, Cross said grimly. We have over 2 million civilians in the colonial territories. Moving them all would take at least 4 months, even with every transport ship we have. Blake walked to the star chart, studying the red markers that indicated Confederation territories. The enemy controlled hundreds of star systems, commanded fleets of unknown size, and had technology that allowed them to observe Earth for 50 years without being detected. By any rational analysis, humanity was doomed. "Madam President," Maria, Santos said carefully, "there is another option." The room fell silent. Blake turned to face the Director of Colonial Affairs, noting the woman's tense posture and nervous expression. "Protocol 7, Santos continued. "The defensive measures we've been developing since we first detected alien signals 15 years ago." General Hayes shook his head. "Protocol 7 was always theoretical. We never expected to actually implement it." "What exactly is Protocol 7? Blake asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. Cross stood up and walked to a secure terminal at the far end of the room. His fingers moved across the keyboard, entering classified access codes that had been created but never used. "Show them, Alan," Blake said quietly. The wall display changed, showing new star charts that made everyone in the room catch their breath. What had appeared to be mining operations and research stations throughout the solar system were revealed as something else entirely: hidden shipyards, weapons platforms, military installations disguised as civilian infrastructure. "For 15 years, Cross explained, we've been preparing for this day. Every exploration mission, every mining operation, every research station has been part of a larger plan. We knew that contact with alien species might not go well." Admiral Nick Rodriguez entered the room, his naval uniform crisp despite being called from sleep in the middle of the night. Blake had summoned him specifically for this moment. "Admiral, you've been briefed on the situation?" "Yes, Madam President. The murder of our diplomatic team and the approaching invasion force." Rodriguez moved to the display, his experienced eyes taking in the hidden military installations. "Are we implementing Protocol 7? Blake looked around the room one more time. In normal circumstances, she would consult with Congress, with allied nations, with civilian leadership. But Earth had perhaps 8 weeks before alien warships began destroying human colonies. There was no time for normal procedures. "Admiral Rodriguez, as of this moment, you are in command of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your orders are simple: protect our people and make the aliens pay for what they've done." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "Understood, Madam President. What are the rules of engagement?" "There are no rules," Blake replied, her voice cold as interstellar space. "They murdered our ambassadors. They're coming to destroy our colonies. Show them. What happens when you threaten the human race?" General Hayes activated another screen, showing fleet dispositions throughout the solar system. "The hidden shipyards have been producing vessels for over a decade. We have 48 major warships, including 6 Dreadnought-class vessels, 236 smaller combat ships, defensive platforms around every major colony." "What about weapons technology?" Rodriguez asked. "That's the beautiful part," Cross said with grim satisfaction. "While the Confederation was watching our peaceful expansion, our scientists were developing weapons they've never seen: quantum torpedoes, kinetic bombardment systems, stealth technology, artificial intelligence combat support. We've had 15 years to prepare for war." Santos pulled up another display showing colonial fleet positions. "The outer colonies have their own defensive forces. Captain Troy Mitchell commands the Mars fleet. The Europa and Titan groups are under separate commands. Each colonial force has been equipped with the latest military technology." Blake returned to her seat, but she didn't look defeated anymore. The grief was still there, but it was joined by something else: determination, purpose, cold, calculating rage. "Admiral, I want you to coordinate with our colonial commanders. Every human settlement needs to be ready for siege warfare. Our people are going to fight." "What about the diplomatic angle?" Santos asked. "Should we try to contact other alien species? Maybe some of them oppose the Confederation?" "Diplomacy failed," Blake said flatly. Ambassador Morrison tried diplomacy. It got her killed. Now we try something else. Rodriguez studied the fleet deployments with the eye of a career military officer. The aliens are expecting to face a primitive species with limited technology. They're going to get a very unpleasant surprise. How unpleasant? Blake asked. The Admiral's smile was not pleasant. Madam President, our dreadnought Retribution carries enough firepower to crack a moon. Our stealth ships can approach undetected and deliver quantum torpedoes that ignore energy shields. Our AI systems can coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. General Hayes nodded approvingly. The Confederation has ruled through intimidation and technological superiority. They've never faced an enemy that could match their capabilities. They're about to, Blake said. She stood up and walked to the communications panel. Get me a secure channel to all colonial governors and military commanders. It's time to tell our people what's really happening. As the communication system activated, Blake thought about Claire Morrison and her team. They had died believing in humanity's better nature, in the possibility of peace among the stars. Their deaths would not be meaningless. The aliens had started this war, but humanity would finish it. Ladies and gentlemen, she said into the communicator, her voice carrying to human settlements throughout the solar system. This is President Blake. As of this moment, Earth is at war. But we are not the helpless prey our enemies believe us to be. We are humanity. We protect our own. And those who threaten our people will learn why that was a terrible mistake. The hidden fleets began to move, emerging from concealment like predators awakening from sleep. The Confederation had killed Earth's diplomats, but they had also awakened something far more dangerous than they could possibly imagine. The red alert sirens echoed through the underground military complex on Mars as Captain Troy Mitchell ran through corridors that had been disguised as mining tunnels for over a decade. Behind false walls and hidden blast doors, the largest secret in human history was finally being revealed. The Mars Colonial Defense Force was not what it appeared to be. Troy burst into the command center where dozens of technicians worked frantically at control stations. Through reinforced windows, he could see the massive doors of concealed hangars sliding open across the Martian landscape. Ships that had been hidden beneath the planet's surface for years were rising into the thin atmosphere like mechanical dragons awakening from sleep. Status report, he called out to Lieutenant Commander Sarah Walsh, his second in command. All fleet units responding to mobilization orders, Sarah replied, her fingers dancing across her control panel. The Mars, Defender, Red Planet, and Olympus are launching now. Escort squadrons are forming up in designated sectors. Troy watched through the observation deck as sleek warships emerged from their underground shelters. The ships looked nothing like the bulky transport vessels and mining equipment that Mars was supposed to possess. These were predators, built for speed and destruction. What's our total strength? He asked. 16 major combat vessels, 48 fighters, and 12 support ships, Sarah answered. The hidden shipyard at Phobos Station just finished construction on 2 more destroyers. They're not fully tested, but they're armed and ready. Communication channels crackled with reports from across the solar system. Europa's ice-covered surface was revealing its own secrets as hidden bases powered up and concealed fleets prepared for war. Titan's methane atmosphere provided perfect cover for the massive shipyard that had been building dreadnought-class vessels in complete secrecy. Engineer Carl Johnson's voice came through the communication system from the primary shipyard orbiting Earth's moon. Captain Mitchell, this is Lunar Construction Command. The Retribution is ready for launch. All systems are green. She's the most powerful warship humanity has ever built. Troy felt a grim satisfaction. The Retribution was the crown jewel of Earth's hidden fleet, a dreadnought equipped with experimental weapons that could punch through any known defensive system. The aliens thought they were facing a primitive species. They were about to learn. Otherwise, Dr. Amy Chen reporting from Weapons Research Division, came another voice over the communications. Final testing on quantum torpedo systems is complete. Production facilities are running at maximum capacity. We'll have full ammunition loads for all fleet units within 48 hours. Troy switched his attention to the tactical display, showing the positions of Confederation forces. Intelligence reports indicated that the alien fleet was still 6 weeks away from reaching human space, but that could change if they had technology that Earth didn't know about. Priority message from Admiral Rodriguez, announced communications. Officer Danny Walsh. All colonial forces are to begin immediate defensive preparations. Civilian evacuations from outer settlements are authorized. Military personnel are restricted to essential operations only. The command center buzzed with activity as Troy's staff coordinated the massive mobilization effort. Across Mars, hidden installations were coming online. Defensive platforms that had been disguised as research stations were revealing their true nature as heavily armed fortresses. "Sir," called out Tactical Officer Lucy Stone from her station, "we're receiving reports from the asteroid belt. The mining platforms there weren't just mining." Troy walked over to Lucy's station and looked at her display. The asteroid belt, which was supposed to contain only automated mining equipment, was showing energy signatures that indicated major military installations. "What exactly are we looking at?" "Weapons platforms, sir. Massive ones. They've been built inside hollowed-out asteroids. From the energy readings, each one carries firepower equivalent to a battleship. The scope of humanity's preparations was staggering. For 15 years, while maintaining the appearance of peaceful expansion and scientific research, Earth's governments had been preparing for the possibility of hostile alien contact. Every colony, every research station, every mining operation had a hidden military purpose. "Captain Mitchell," came a new voice through the communications system. This was Commander Ben Parker, calling from the stealth ship development facility near Neptune. "Ghost Squadron is ready for deployment. All 12 stealth vessels are fully operational and armed with quantum torpedoes." Troy smiled grimly. Stealth ships were another surprise that the aliens wouldn't see coming. Using technology developed from studying captured alien probes, the ships could approach enemy positions undetected and deliver devastating attacks before disappearing back into the void. Sarah Walsh looked up from her station with a troubled expression. "Sir, we're getting reports from the civilian settlements. Word about the alien threat is spreading. People are scared." "They should be scared," Troy replied. "But they should also be proud. Humanity has been preparing for this day. We're not helpless." A priority alert flashed on the main display. Admiral Rodriguez appeared on the screen, broadcasting from his flagship somewhere in Earth orbit. "All colonial commanders, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Phase 1 of Protocol 7 is now in effect. Begin defensive positioning of all fleet units. Phase 2 will commence upon detection of enemy forces entering our space." Troy turned to address his command staff. "You heard the Admiral. I want all ships in defensive formation around Mars within 12 hours. Civilian transports are to be escorted to the inner system. Military vessels are to maintain combat readiness at all times. The massive mobilization continued throughout the solar system. On Europa, Commander Elena Rodriguez was bringing her Ice World fleet online, revealing ships that had been built beneath the frozen surface. The vessels were designed for the unique conditions of the outer system, equipped with specialized weapons and armor. From the shipyards of Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt, came reports that the massive industrial complex was operating at full capacity. What had appeared to be civilian manufacturing was revealed as a military production facility capable of building warships and weapons on an enormous scale. "Dr. Kelly Wright reporting from AI development," came another voice. Through the communications network. "All tactical AI systems are online and ready for deployment. Our ships will have computational support that exceeds anything the Confederation has ever faced." The artificial intelligence systems were perhaps humanity's greatest advantage. While the aliens relied on biological crew members with biological limitations, human ships could think and react at computer speeds. The AI could coordinate attacks across multiple vessels, predict enemy movements, and adapt tactics in real time. Troy looked out at the Martian landscape where his hidden fleet was assembling. Dozens of warships hung in the thin atmosphere, their weapons systems powered up and ready for combat. Each ship represented years of secret development and preparation. "Sir," Sarah Walsh called out, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. President Blake wants to address all military personnel." The main screen flickered and President Blake appeared, speaking from what looked like a military command center. Her face was grave but determined. "To all service members throughout the solar system, the aliens have made their choice. They murdered our diplomatic team and declared war on humanity. But they made one critical error. They underestimated us." Blake paused, and when she continued, her voice carried the cold fury of an entire species. "For 15 years, we have prepared for this moment. Our fleets are ready. Our weapons are tested. Our people are determined. The aliens think they are facing a primitive, defenseless species. They are about to learn the truth about humanity." The transmission ended, but its message was clear. Earth was ready for war. The hidden fleets, the secret weapons, the concealed installations were all coming together into a military force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Troy Mitchell looked at his command staff and saw the same determination, reflected in every face. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to make history. The aliens wanted a war. Let's give them one they'll never forget." Admiral Nick Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Retribution, watching as the largest military operation in human history began to unfold. Through the massive viewport, he could see dozens of warships forming into attack formations, their hulls gleaming with the deadly beauty of purpose-built weapons of war. "Admiral," called out Captain Elena Rodriguez from her position at the tactical station, "all fleet elements report ready for jump. Ghost Squadron is already in position at the target coordinates." Nick studied the holographic display showing the battle plan that had been developed over years of careful analysis. The first target was the Zephyrian military outpost at Zentar, a heavily fortified station that served as a forward command post for Confederation forces. Intelligence indicated that Premier Vexnar himself might be there, coordinating the planned invasion of human space. "Communications, open a channel to all ships," Nick ordered. Lieutenant Commander Sam Brooks worked his console with practiced efficiency. "Channel open, sir." Nick looked around the bridge at his crew, seeing the same cold determination in their eyes that he felt in his own heart. These men and women had trained for this moment their entire careers, but none of them had expected it to come because of murdered diplomats. "To all ships of the Earth Defense Fleet," he began, his voice carrying through space to every human vessel in the attack force. "Today we begin humanity's response to an act of war. The aliens murdered our people in cold blood. They think we are weak. They think we are defenseless. They are about to learn how wrong they are." The fleet began to move, faster than light drives, engaging in perfect synchronization. The Retribution led the assault force, followed by the heavy cruisers, Vengeance, Justice, and Fury. Behind them came destroyers, frigates, and support vessels, all equipped with weapons that the Confederation had never encountered. Captain Elena Rodriguez commanded the assault cruiser Vengeance, her ship loaded with quantum torpedoes and kinetic bombardment systems. As they dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Zentar system, she felt a savage satisfaction at seeing the alien station hanging in space like a metal spider. "Target acquired," reported her weapons officer, Lieutenant Tom Baker. "Station appears to be running normal operations. No indication they know we're here." Elena smiled coldly. The alien sensors were designed to detect their own technology. Human stealth systems worked on completely different principles, making the attack fleet effectively invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. "Ghost Squadron, this is Vengeance," Elena transmitted on a secure channel. "Begin your approach." "Commander." Ben Parker acknowledged from his stealth ship Shadow, one of 12 vessels that had been in position around Zentar for hours without being detected. The stealth ships were humanity's ultimate surprise weapon, capable of delivering devastating attacks from complete concealment. Shadow beginning attack run, Ben reported. Target lock confirmed on station's primary reactor, quantum torpedoes, armed and ready. On the main fleet, Admiral Rodriguez watched as the tactical display showed the stealth ships moving into position. The aliens had no idea that death was approaching them at light speed. "All ships, prepare for assault," Nick commanded. "Remember, these are the beings who murdered Ambassador Morrison and her team. Show them the price of threatening humanity." The attack began with 12 simultaneous quantum torpedo launches from the Ghost Squadron. The weapons appeared on alien sensors for only seconds before impact, not enough time for defensive systems to respond. The station's shields, designed to stop energy weapons and conventional missiles, were completely useless against weapons that phased in and out of normal space. The primary reactor exploded in a flash of light that could be seen from light years away. Secondary explosions rippled through the station as power systems overloaded and ammunition stores detonated. In less than 30 seconds, the supposedly impregnable fortress was an expanding cloud of debris. "Direct hit," reported Ben Parker with grim satisfaction. "Station destroyed. No survivors detected." But Admiral Rodriguez wasn't finished. Intelligence reports indicated that 6 other Confederation outposts were within striking distance. The RC. Aliens had planned to use these bases as staging areas for their invasion of human space. They would not get that chance. "All ships, form attack groups," Nick ordered. "We have 6 more targets to eliminate. Captain Rodriguez, take the Vengeance and destroy the supply depot at Calamore. Captain Walsh, your squadron is assigned to the communications relay at Zethka. The human fleet split into attack groups, each one assigned to a different target. The aliens had spread their forces across multiple systems, thinking that distance would provide security. They had not considered that humanity's jump technology allowed for rapid movement between star systems. Elena Rodriguez led her squadron toward Calamore, where a massive supply depot provided ammunition and equipment for Confederation forces. The facility was larger than Zentar, but more lightly defended, designed to support logistics rather than combat operations. "Vengeance to all ships," Elena transmitted as they approached the target. "Remember, this is where they stored the weapons they plan to use against our colonies. Let's make sure those weapons never reach their intended targets." The attack on Calamore was swift and brutal. Human kinetic bombardment systems accelerated projectiles to significant fractions of light speed, creating weapons that no shield could stop. The supply depot's defensive platforms were destroyed before they could return fire, and the main facility was reduced to scrap metal within minutes. Across the Confederation's forward positions, similar scenes of destruction were playing out. Captain Danny Walsh's squadron eliminated the communications relay at Zethka, cutting off contact between enemy forces. Commander Lucy Stone's destroyers obliterated a sensor array that monitored approaches to Confederation space. The aliens' 3-to-1 numerical advantage meant nothing when they couldn't coordinate their forces or predict where the next attack would come from. Human forces appeared without warning, destroyed their targets with overwhelming firepower, and disappeared before enemy reinforcements could arrive. "Admiral," reported Captain Elena Rodriguez from the Vengeance, "Calamore Supply Depot is completely destroyed. Estimated damage to enemy logistics capability is severe." Similar reports came in from all attack groups. In less than 4 hours, humanity had eliminated 6 major Confederation military installations without losing a single ship. The aliens' forward defense network had been completely shattered, but Admiral Rodriguez knew that this was just the beginning. The Confederation still had hundreds of ships and dozens of fortified worlds. The first strike had been successful, but the real war was yet to come. "All ships return to rally point," he ordered. "Prepare for Phase 2 operations." As the human fleet regrouped, intelligence reports began arriving from long-range scout ships. The destruction of their forward bases had sent shockwaves through the Confederation. Emergency communications were flying between alien worlds as military commanders tried to understand what had happened. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Sam Brooks, "we're intercepting alien transmissions. They're calling for emergency council sessions. Multiple references to unknown human capabilities and technology beyond current understanding." Nick Rodriguez smiled grimly. The aliens had spent 50 years studying humanity, thinking they understood what Earth was capable of. But they had been watching the wrong things. While they monitored peaceful exploration and scientific research, they had missed the largest military buildup in human history. "Set course for the next target," he ordered. "The aliens wanted to see what humanity is capable of. Let's show them." The Earth Defense Fleet moved deeper into Confederation space, leaving behind a trail of destroyed installations and shattered alien confidence. The war had begun, and humanity had drawn first blood. But this was only the opening move in a conflict that would determine the future of both species. The aliens had made their choice when they murdered Earth's diplomats. Now they would live with the consequences, for however long they remained alive to regret their decision. Commander Ben Parker studied the tactical display aboard his stealth ship Hunter as it drifted silently through the outer system of Kethmore. 3 weeks had passed since the first devastating attacks on Confederation outposts, and now humanity's war had entered a new phase. This was no longer about destroying military installations. This was about justice. "Target confirmed," whispered Lieutenant Commander Sam Brooks from his position at the sensor station. "Premier Vexnar's personal transport just entered the system. He's heading for the fortress world below." Ben felt cold satisfaction flow through him. The alien leader who had ordered the execution of Ambassador Morrison and her team was finally within reach. For 3 weeks, human forces had been hunting the Confederation's leadership, tracking them across the galaxy with technology the aliens never knew existed. Dr. Kelly Wright's artificial intelligence tracking systems had proven invaluable in the hunt. The AI could analyze thousands of communications intercepts, movement patterns, and intelligence reports simultaneously, predicting where enemy leaders would run when their safe havens were destroyed. "Shadow reporting," came Captain Elena Rodriguez's voice over the secure communication channel. Her stealth ship hung invisible in Kethmore's upper atmosphere, monitoring the fortress world's defensive systems. "Planetary shields are at full strength. They're expecting us." Ben wasn't surprised. The aliens had learned quickly that nowhere was safe from human forces. Every major Confederation leader was now hiding behind the strongest defenses available, but shields and weapons platforms couldn't protect against an enemy they couldn't see coming. "Ghost Squadron, this is Hunter," Ben transmitted to the 11 other stealth ships positioned throughout the system. "Target 1 has arrived. Dr. Wright, what's the AI analysis of their defensive posture?" The reply came from the advanced computer systems that had revolutionized human military capabilities. "Probability analysis indicates Premier Vexnar will proceed directly to the underground command complex. Security protocols suggest a 37-minute window between arrival and full defensive lockdown. 37 minutes to capture or kill the alien who had murdered Earth's diplomatic team." Ben studied the fortress world below, noting the massive energy shields, the orbital defense platforms, and the patrol ships moving in carefully planned patterns. The aliens had made Kethmore into an impregnable stronghold. Vengeance to Ghost. "Squadron," came Admiral Rodriguez's voice from the command ship positioned just outside the system. "You are authorized to proceed with the capture mission. Premier Vexnar is wanted alive if possible, but do not risk human lives for his survival." Ben acknowledged the order and began coordinating the most complex stealth operation in human history. 12 ships would have to penetrate the planet's defenses, locate a single alien among billions, and extract him without triggering a system-wide alert that could bring Confederation reinforcements. "Shadow, begin descent," Ben ordered. Follow approach pattern Delta 7. Ghost and Phantom prepare to disable the orbital platforms on my signal. The stealth ships moved like hunting predators, their advanced cloaking systems making them invisible to every sensor the Confederation possessed. Years of studying captured alien technology had allowed human scientists to develop countermeasures that the aliens couldn't detect. Elena Rodriguez guided her ship through the planet's upper atmosphere, watching as the fortress city of Morthak grew larger on her screens. The city was built like a massive pyramid, with defensive weapons covering every approach and underground tunnels that extended deep into the planet's crust. "Detecting the Premier's transport," reported her tactical officer. "It's heading for the central landing platform. Security forces are already in position." Ben Parker's Hunter followed close behind, its sensors locked onto the alien leader's biosignature. The tracking technology was another gift from human scientific advancement, capable of identifying individual beings from their unique electromagnetic patterns. "All ships, initiate Phase 1, Ben commanded. The attack began with simultaneous strikes on the orbital defense platforms. Quantum torpedoes phased into reality just meters from their targets, eliminating the massive weapons before they could fire a single shot. The platforms exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their debris raining down on the fortress city below. "Planetary shields fluctuating," reported Sam Brooks. "AI analysis indicates we have approximately 14 minutes before backup power. Restores full defensive capability." The stealth ships dove through the gap in the planetary defenses like arrows fired by an invisible archer. Elena Rodriguez brought shadow down in the fortress city's main plaza, her ship's weapon systems eliminating security forces before they could organize a response. Ben Parker landed Hunter directly on the Central Command Complex's landing platform, just as Premier Vexanar's transport was docking. The alien leader emerged, surrounded by his personal guard, their energy weapons already firing at targets they couldn't see. "Target acquired," Ben reported as he and his strike team materialized from their ship's cloaking field. The human soldiers wore advanced armor that made them nearly invisible, and their weapons fired projectiles that could penetrate any known alien defensive system. The firefight was brief and brutal. Confederation guards died before they could understand what was attacking them. Premier Vexnar tried to run back to his transport, but Lieutenant Commander Lucy Stone's team was already waiting for him. "Going somewhere, Premier?" Lucy asked. Her weapon pointed directly at the alien's scaled head. Vexnar's large eyes reflected fear and hatred in equal measure. "Impossible. Our defenses are impenetrable. You cannot be here." "Surprise," Ben Parker said coldly as he approached the captured alien leader. "Humanity has a few tricks you didn't know about." The extraction was as swift as the capture. Within minutes, Premier Vexnar was aboard Hunter, secured in a specially designed holding cell that could contain even an alien physiology. The stealth ships lifted off from Kethmore as the planet's defense systems finally came back online. "Hunter to Ghost Squadron," Ben transmitted as they cleared the planet's atmosphere. "Package secured. All ships returned to rally point." But the hunt wasn't over. Intelligence reports indicated that other Confederation leaders were scattered across the galaxy, hiding in whatever strongholds they thought might protect them. Dr. Wright's AI systems had already identified the next targets. "Admiral Rodriguez, this is Hunter," Ben reported to the fleet commander. "Premier Vexnar is in custody, ready to proceed to secondary targets." "Excellent work, Commander," came the Admiral's reply. "Proceed to the Veltar system. Intelligence indicates that General Kethnor is attempting to organize a counterattack from there." The hunt continued across the galaxy as Ghost Squadron tracked down every alien responsible for Ambassador Morrison's murder. General Kethnor was captured on the mining world of Veltar, pulled from a heavily defended bunker by human forces that appeared from nowhere. Admiral Zexka was taken from his flagship while it was surrounded by an entire battle fleet, human stealth technology allowing the extraction team to board his vessel undetected. Each capture sent shockwaves through the Confederation. Their leaders, who had thought themselves safe behind their most powerful defenses, were disappearing one by one. No fortress was strong enough, no fleet large enough, no hiding place secure enough to protect them from humanity's reach. "This is impossible," Premier Vexenar said during one of his interrogation sessions aboard Hunter. "Your species was primitive, weak. How do you possess such capabilities?" Commander Parker looked at the alien through the transparent barrier of the holding cell. "You made one critical error, Premier. You confused peaceful intentions with weakness. We came to you in peace because we wanted to, not because we had to." The captured alien leader's scales shifted color, indicating what Ben's xenobiology training told him was extreme distress. "Your expansion? Your technology? Your military capabilities? We had to stop you before you became too powerful." "Too late," Ben replied coldly. "We were already too powerful. We just chose not to show it until you forced our hand." By the end of the 4th week of hunting, Ghost Squadron had captured or killed every Confederation leader involved in the diplomatic massacre. The galaxy watched in growing terror as humanity demonstrated capabilities that seemed to border on the impossible. The message was clear to every species in known space. Those who harmed Earth's people would face justice, no matter how far they ran or how well they thought they were protected. Humanity had proven that nowhere in the galaxy was beyond their reach. The hunt was complete, but the war was far from over. The Confederation still had fleets and armies, but they no longer had the leadership to coordinate them effectively. And Admiral Rodriguez was already planning the next phase of humanity's response to alien aggression. Ambassador Velandra of the Andorian Trade League stood before the emergency assembly of the Galactic Council, her crystalline features reflecting the panic that filled the Great Chamber. Around her, representatives from dozens of species whispered, in fear as reports continued to arrive from across Confederation space. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice carrying the harmonic tones that characterized her people. "We face a crisis unlike any in recorded galactic history. The human species has demonstrated military capabilities that exceed our most advanced theoretical projections." High Chancellor Morgeth of the Crystalline Empire rose from his seat, his translucent body pulsing with agitated colors. "The reports cannot be accurate. No single species could destroy the Confederation's defensive network in a matter of weeks. The Zephyrians have ruled this sector for 3 millennia. "The evidence is undeniable," Velandra replied, activating the holographic display at the center of the chamber. The display showed a star map of Confederation territory, with red markers indicating destroyed installations. Nearly half of the markers were dark. Captain Danny Walsh commanded the human fleet destroyer Lightning as it approached another Confederation, military world. His orders were simple and brutal: demonstrate humanity's willingness to destroy anything that threatened Earth's colonies. The planet below had been used as a staging area for the planned invasion of human space. "Target the military installations only," Danny ordered his weapons officer. "Leave civilian areas untouched. We're not murderers." The quantum bombardment began with precision that amazed even Danny's experienced crew. Each shot eliminated a specific military target while leaving nearby civilian structures undamaged. Orbital defense platforms exploded in brilliant flashes. Ground-based missile sites vanished in controlled detonations, and military spaceports became fields of twisted metal. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "we're receiving surrender transmissions from the remaining garrison forces. They're requesting terms." Danny considered the request. His orders were to eliminate all military threats, but he had discretion regarding survivors. "Tell them to evacuate all military personnel to the northern continent. They have 2 hours. Any military installation still occupied after that will be destroyed regardless of who's inside." The Confederation forces complied with desperate speed, abandoning their posts and fleeing to the designated safe zone. Danny watched with grim satisfaction as enemy soldiers ran from facilities they had believed to be impregnable. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the reports continued to arrive. Ambassador Velandra updated the display with each new piece of intelligence, showing the systematic destruction of Confederation power. The humans have eliminated 87 major military installations, she reported. Their losses are zero. 0 casualties, 0 destroyed ships, 0 failed missions. This level of military efficiency is theoretically impossible. Representative Klixmar of the Silicon Collective activated his translation matrix with electronic clicks and whirs. Analysis of captured communication intercepts suggests the humans have been preparing for this conflict for over 15 standard years. Their peaceful expansion was a deception. Chancellor Morgeth's body flashed angry red. Deception? The Confederation monitored their activities closely. How could such massive military preparations go undetected? Because they were hidden, in plain sight, Velandra answered. Every mining operation was also a weapons factory. Every research station was also a military base. Every exploration vessel was also a warship. The humans built their military infrastructure while maintaining perfect cover as a peaceful, expanding civilization. Commander Lucy Stone stood on the bridge of the assault ship Defiance as it approached the fortress world of Mor-Kalan. Intelligence indicated that this world served as a major training center for Confederation forces, with over 2 million military personnel stationed there. "Open a communication channel to the planet," Lucy ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing a Zephyrian general whose scales displayed the patterns of extreme stress. "This is General Vector of the Mor-Kalan Defense Force." "What are your terms?" Lucy studied the alien commander with cold eyes. "Unconditional surrender of all military forces. Complete evacuation of all weapons facilities. You have 4 hours to comply." "Impossible," the general protested. "We have 2 million soldiers here. The evacuation alone would take weeks." "Then you better start immediately," Lucy replied. "Because in 4 hours, any military installation still occupied will be destroyed. I don't care if it's full of your people or empty. Your choice." The transmission ended, and Lucy turned to her tactical officer. "Begin bombardment of unoccupied facilities. Show them we're serious." The first quantum torpedo impact sent shockwaves through Mor-Kalan's crust. Massive training complexes disappeared in flashes of light visible from orbit. The message was clear. Humanity's patience had limits. In the Galactic Council chamber, the emergency session continued as more reports arrived. "The fortress world of Mor-Kalan has surrendered," announced Representative Klixmar. 2 million Confederation soldiers laid down their arms without firing a shot. The human commander gave them 4 hours to evacuate, and they complied. Ambassador, Velandra manipulated the holographic display to show the expanding zone of human control. The pattern is consistent across all fronts. The humans appear wherever they choose, deliver overwhelming force, and vanish before reinforcements can arrive. Their technology allows them to ignore every defensive strategy the Confederation developed. "What do we know about their capabilities?" asked Chancellor Morgeth. "Too little," Velandra admitted. "Their stealth technology makes their ships effectively invisible. Their weapons ignore energy shields and destroy targets instantly. Their artificial intelligence systems coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. Most disturbing of all, they seem to have unlimited numbers of these advanced vessels." The truth was even more shocking than the Council suspected. Earth's industrial capacity had been underestimated by everyone, including many humans. The hidden shipyards had been producing warships at a rate that seemed impossible, using automated systems and artificial intelligence to build fleets faster than any biological species could manage. Commander Elena Rodriguez watched from the Bridge of Vengeance as another Confederation fleet attempted to make a stand at the mining system of Kolthak. 30 alien warships had formed a defensive formation around the system's primary world, their commanders apparently believing that superior numbers would compensate for technological disadvantage. "Sir," reported her weapons officer, "enemy, fleet is hailing us. They want to negotiate." Elena smiled coldly. "Put them through." The alien admiral who appeared on screen was clearly terrified, his scales pale and his large eyes darting nervously. "Human Commander, I am Admiral Zekthor of the Confederation Fleet. We propose a ceasefire to discuss terms." "The time for negotiation passed when you murdered our diplomats," Elena replied. "You have 30 seconds to surrender your ships, or watch them be destroyed. We outnumber you 3-1, the alien protested. "Yes," Elena agreed. "That's what makes this fair." The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. Human quantum torpedoes phased through alien shields as if they didn't exist. Kinetic bombardment systems destroyed enemy vessels faster than their crews could react. When the fighting ended, debris from 30 Confederation warships drifted through space around Kolthak. Back in the council chamber, the final reports of the emergency session painted a picture of complete Confederation collapse. "Military resistance has effectively ended," Ambassador Velandra announced. "Remaining Confederation forces are either surrendering or fleeing to neutral space. The humans have achieved total military victory in less than 6 weeks." Chancellor. Morgeth's body had faded to a pale, frightened blue. "What are their intentions? Will they continue attacking other species?" "Unknown," Velandra replied. "But preliminary analysis suggests they are only targeting those directly involved in the diplomatic massacre. They have ignored neutral shipping and civilian populations." Representative Klixmar's translation matrix buzzed with electronic concern. "Recommendation: immediate diplomatic contact with human authorities. The balance of power in this sector has permanently shifted. We must adapt to the new reality." The Galactic Council had spent 3,000 years operating under Confederation dominance. Now they faced a new reality where humanity held the ultimate power. The young species that had been dismissed as primitive newcomers had revealed themselves as the most formidable military force the galaxy had ever seen. As the emergency session ended, one thing was clear to every delegate. The age of Confederation supremacy was over. The age of humanity had begun, written in fire across the stars, and sealed with the destruction of those who had underestimated the newest apex predator in known space. President Catherine Blake stood on the bridge of the command ship Defiance, looking out through the massive viewport at the burning remnants of the Confederation fleet. The battle for the Zephyrian capital world had lasted only 3 hours, but it had marked the end of a 3,000-year empire. Behind her, Admiral Nick Rodriguez coordinated the final mop-up operations with the calm efficiency of a man who had just reshaped the galaxy. "Madam President," reported Communications Officer Sam Brooks, "we're receiving surrender requests from 47 different Confederation worlds. They're all asking for terms." Blake nodded grimly. 6 weeks ago, she had been the leader of a young species hoping to join the galactic community. Now she was the president of the sector's dominant power, with alien worlds begging for mercy. The transformation was complete, and the cost had been paid by those who chose war over peace. "Put me through to the Galactic Council," she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the emergency assembly of species representatives who had gathered to witness humanity's final demands. Ambassador Velandra of the Andorian Trade League served as the council's speaker, her crystalline features reflecting both fear and respect. "President Blake," Velandra began, "the Galactic Council is prepared to hear humanity's terms for ending this conflict." Blake looked around the bridge at her advisors and crew, then back at the assembled alien representatives. "My terms are simple. The Zephyrian Confederation will be completely dismantled as a political entity. All remaining Confederation military, Forces will surrender their weapons and submit to human oversight. Murmurs of shock rippled through the council chamber. The complete dissolution of the Confederation was beyond what anyone had expected. Furthermore, Blake continued, the species responsible for murdering our diplomatic team will pay full reparations to the families of Ambassador Morrison, Colonel Sullivan, Dr. Grant, and Specialist Torres. The exact amount will be determined by Earth's economic advisors. Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward, his weathered face set in hard lines. Any species that harbored, supported, or assisted in the planning of the diplomatic massacre will be subject to ongoing human oversight. Their military capabilities will be permanently limited to defensive forces only. The alien representatives exchanged worried glances. Permanent limitation of military forces was essentially a guarantee of human dominance for generations to come. What of the neutral species? Asked Chancellor Morgeth of the Crystalline Empire. Those of us who had no involvement in the Confederation's actions? Blake's expression softened slightly. Neutral species who demonstrate peaceful intentions will be offered full diplomatic relations with Earth. We seek trade partnerships, cultural exchange, and scientific cooperation with all who approach us honestly. Commander Ben Parker watched from his position aboard the stealth ship Hunter as the former Confederation capital transformed before his eyes. Human engineering teams were already establishing the first permanent Earth fleet base in alien space, using technology that made the construction process incredibly rapid. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Lucy Stone, "the orbital platform construction is ahead of schedule. We'll have a fully operational starbase within 2 months." Ben nodded with satisfaction. The base would serve as a permanent reminder to any future aggressors that humanity's reach extended throughout the galaxy. No one would ever again mistake Earth's peaceful intentions for weakness. Dr. Kelly Wright's voice came through the communication system from her research vessel. "Commander Parker, AI analysis of captured Confederation technology is complete. Their weapons and defensive systems are approximately 50 years behind current human capabilities. The revelation explained much about the one-sided nature of the conflict. While the Confederation had relied on technology that remained static, for centuries, humanity had been advancing at an exponential rate. The aliens' 50 years of observation had given them an accurate picture of human capabilities as they existed 50 years ago. President Blake continued her address to the Galactic Council. Earth is prepared to take responsibility for maintaining peace and stability in this sector. We will not tolerate aggression between species, whether directed at human colonies or at each other. You're establishing a human empire, observed Representative Clicksmar of the Silicon Collective. We're establishing human protection, Blake corrected. Any species that threatens the peace will face the same response the Confederation received. But those who choose cooperation will find Earth to be a generous and fair partner. Admiral Rodriguez activated a tactical display showing the new strategic reality. Human fleet bases would be established at key points throughout the former Confederation territory, ensuring rapid response to any future threats. The displayed coverage area encompassed dozens of star systems and billions of alien beings. The transition period will be supervised by joint human-alien committees, Rodriguez explained. Confederation worlds will be given the opportunity to establish new governments under human guidance. Those that prove capable of peaceful self-governance will be granted independence within 5 years. Captain Elena Rodriguez reported from the Vengeance as her ship supervised the surrender of the Zephyrian home fleet. "Admiral, the enemy commander is requesting permission to speak with human leadership. He claims to have information about other potential threats in the galaxy." Blake nodded to Admiral Rodriguez, who activated a secure communication channel. The alien admiral who appeared on screen was clearly broken by the complete defeat of his forces. "I am Admiral Kexanar of the former Confederation fleet," the being said, his scales displaying patterns of submission. "I surrender my vessels and my crews to human authority, but I must warn you of dangers beyond our territory." "What dangers?" Blake asked. The Devourer swarms in the galactic core, Kexnar replied. Machine intelligences that consume entire worlds. The Confederation served as a buffer between them and the younger species of this sector. With our defeat, nothing stands between them and the civilian populations. Blake exchanged glances with Admiral Rodriguez. They had been so focused on the immediate threat that they hadn't considered the broader galactic situation. Earth's victory over the Confederation might have unintended consequences. How long before these swarms become a threat? Rodriguez asked. Years, perhaps decades, the alien admiral replied. But they will come. The Confederation's military might was the only thing that kept them at bay. Blake felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Earth had won a war and gained an empire, but they had also inherited the Confederation's enemies. The galaxy was a more dangerous place than anyone had realized. Admiral Rodriguez, she said quietly, it appears our military expansion will need to continue. We're not just the sector's dominant power now, we're its defenders. The final ceremony took place on the Bridge of the Defiance as representatives from every major galactic power formally recognized humanity's new position. Ambassador Velandra read the Treaty of Galactic Reorganization, a document that would reshape interstellar politics for generations. By unanimous consent of the Galactic Council, she announced, humanity is recognized as the dominant military power in this sector of space. Earth's authority in matters of interstellar security is acknowledged by all signatory species. Blake signed the treaty with a stylus made from metal taken from the New Horizon, the ship that had carried Ambassador Morrison to her death. The symbolism was intentional and unmistakable. Let this serve as a reminder, Blake said as she completed her signature, that those who mistake diplomacy for weakness do so at their own peril. Humanity sought peace among the stars. When that peace was denied us, we took it by force. The treaty ceremony concluded, Blake looked out at the stars that now lay under Earth's protection. 6 weeks ago, humans had been hopeful newcomers seeking acceptance. Now they were the galaxy's guardians, responsible for protecting billions of lives from threats both known and unknown. The age of human dominance had begun, forged in the fires of justified vengeance and tempered by the responsibility that came with ultimate power. The galaxy would never again underestimate the species that had proven peace must sometimes be won through strength. In the distance, construction continued on the orbital fortress that would become the seat of human power in alien space. The sea base would serve as both a shield against external threats and a reminder to potential aggressors. Humanity had learned that the price of peace was eternal vigilance, and they were prepared to pay that price for as long as the stars continued to shine.